everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I like to talk about books, and today I'm going to be talking about my Summerween TBR and giving you spooky book recommendations in case you want to participate too. So if you don't know what Summerween is, this is a readathon that is hosted in the summer where you read spooky books and feel like it's Halloween in the summer if you're missing the spooky times. It is hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Oliviareadsalatte. This is the second year they're doing Summerween. They started it last summer when they did the first Summerween, and then this January they did Winterween, so they did a winter version. So I'm so excited to be doing Summerween yet again. I am so ready for spooky season. I am so ready to be reading spooky books. This is just the perfect time. I have not been reading many spooky books lately, and I cannot wait to spend a week of just reading all things thriller and horror and spooky. If you want more details about the readathon and the host, I will be leaving links in the description below so you can go check them out. I believe it's going to be hosted July 2nd through 8th. If that's wrong, I'll put the correct dates on the screen. If that's right, I'll put those dates on the screen because I need to confirm that. But it is very soon in the beginning of July, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to be going through the 5 prompts for the readathon challenge and tell you what I'm going to be doing for those prompts and giving you book recommendations in case you are looking for some inspiration. I also have a video that I did last year before Summerween where I gave spooky book recommendations for the readathon, and I have readathon blogs where I did a part 1 and part 2. So there is lots of other content you can check out if you want. I'll also be leaving links down below to my recommendation videos for thriller books and horror books that I have done in the past. So if you are looking for anything spooky, I'm sure you can find it down below or in this video or somewhere nearby. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started and start talking about the books I'm going to be reading. So the first prompt for Summerween is to read a book in the dark. That was also a prompt last Summerween. I think it was also a Winterween challenge, and it doesn't really have to have a specific book associated with it because you can really just read any of your books in the dark. So I don't want to commit to which book I'm going to read in the dark yet. I'm probably just going to try to pick one that is spooky to read in the dark. So I'm going to save telling you any of my reads for this one, but I will give you a recommendation for a book that I would suggest reading in the dark. It's also really great for a readathon because it is a graphic novel, and that is Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. Like I said, this is a graphic novel. It's actually like a short story collection in graphic novel form because there are several short stories throughout the book, and they are all super spooky. They're all set in the woods. They have like a fairy tale vibe about them, and the aesthetic of this collection in general is just so good and so spooky, and I just think it would be great in the dark. Also, a graphic novel might work better in the dark because you won't need as much light because you're not reading as many words. It's more about looking at the pictures. I feel like that would be just a fun little activity to do. This is the only book I've read by Emily Carroll. I think she has a couple other graphic novels that are also on my radar. Haven't read any of them yet, so cannot attest to them, but I imagine they would be good picks as well. So the second challenge is to read a paranormal book. And so that can be anything paranormal, ghosts, witches, vampires, zombies, anything paranormal. I don't have any books on my immediate radar that like scream paranormal. I'm actually not the biggest fan of fully paranormal things. What I really like is when you don't know if a book is going to be paranormal or not, and it sort of like hovers that line throughout the book of you're not sure if what's going on is paranormal or if it's real life and there's an explanation behind it all. That's what I tend to like the most. So I don't have like a ton on my immediate radar. What I do have is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, aka Shauna McGuire, and I think this is about like these mermaid creatures that are killers, something like that. It's like ocean vibes, underwater, spooky creatures, legends and lore. So this sounds like close enough to paranormal for me. This is what I'm gonna count. I have really wanted to read this book. I have yet to read, oh no, I have read one thing from Shauna McGuire. It was Over the Woodward Wall, which she wrote as A. Deborah Baker. But this is going to be completely different, I'm sure, super spooky, and I'm excited to jump into this one. So the back of this one says, the ocean is home to many myths, some are deadly. 7 years ago, the Atargatis set off on a voyage to the Mariana Trench to film a mockumentary bringing to life ancient sea creatures of legend. It was lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax, others have called it a tragedy. Now a new crew has been assembled. Some seek to validate their life's work, some seek the greatest hunt of all, some seek the truth. For the ambitious young scientist Victoria Stewart, this is a voyage to uncover the fate of the sister she lost. Whatever the truth may be, it will only be found below the waves. So I've heard great things about this. I've heard it's very spooky. I think I'm gonna really like the underwater vibes because it's gonna give a sense of claustrophobia, which I really like in my horror novels. It is a little bit long, coming in over 400 pages, which is a little long for a readathon, but I am excited enough about it that I think I'm gonna fly through it. As for paranormal books to recommend to you, like I said, I don't read a ton of paranormal books, so my recommendations are gonna be a little all over the place. First, if you're looking for vampires, I would recommend two very different types of vampire books. First one being Dracula. I read that recently. I have an entire reading blog dedicated to that, and it impressed me a lot for it to be a classic. It was so good and so spooky, and oh, it's just a classic. You've just got to read it. So what better time to do it than a readathon? And it is the classic vampire book. So if you're looking for vampires, you've got to read Dracula. And then the other vampire book that I have to recommend to you is a graphic novel, more of like a comic, and that is Fangs by Sarah Anderson. This is a story about a werewolf and a vampire who fall in love, and it is so cute. It's not really a story, it's more like a collection of comics, and it's really funny, and they're very witty, and they have really funny banter, and it's just very, very cute, and it would be perfect for a readathon. You'll get through it in like an hour, and it's just a really good time. Sort of a random paranormal one I have to recommend to you, where there are weird things going on, but you don't know what or why, would be The Lolo Woods by Carmen Maria Machado. This is also a graphic novel, so you'd be able to get through this quickly as well. Really good for a readathon. I just love graphic novels for readathons, so I would highly recommend those. But this is a story about these two girls in a small town, and they go to the movie theater and they like fall asleep and they wake up and things feel weird, and there's like weird things going on in their town. There's a witch in the story. It has a really important message behind it. It is dark. There are trigger warnings. Also, the artwork, the aesthetic is just incredible. Really good spooky vibes. And then, like I said, I really like the ambiguous paranormal stuff where it's like, is what's going on paranormal or is it real life explanation? You don't really know throughout the book, and then there's the reveal at the end. So I have a couple recommendations for those types of books. One, I would say, super short one, is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a story about this group of kids who had this mannequin that they played with in their town. They named him like Manny or something, and then they kind of stopped playing with him as they grew up. A couple summers passed, and they decide they want to play a prank on one of their friends, so they pull the mannequin back out in the movie theater, and then he seemingly comes to life and is like getting revenge on them all for ignoring him. And it's very psychological. You don't know if that's really what's going on or not, and it is very good. And then the other book I would recommend that's kind of ambiguous is The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. This is a bit of a longer book. It's like around 500 pages, so it might not be the best for a readathon, but this is a story that is set in the 1600s or 1700s. It's historical, and it has very Sherlock Holmes mystery vibes, so if you like that style of mystery, I think you'd really like this one. But the character you're following is more of like the Watson character in the friendship. So there is this detective that is being detained, and they're sending him on the ship to send him over water, and his bodyguard is with him, and there may or may not be a demon on the ship cursing them, and the bodyguard is the one that is investigating that situation. So it's got dark ocean vibes, it's got occult vibes with like demon stuff and curses and creepy whispering. It would be really good to read in the dark. It is a very rich, complex story, so if you really want to get lost in a book, I think that is a good one to go into as well. The third prompt is to read a horror book, so that one's really easy to choose from. I have a lot of horror books on my TBR, so I could really pick anything, but I'm going to pick this one, which is The Hole. This has been on my TBR for a while. This was a 5-star prediction for me in the last 5-star prediction video I did, and I have yet to get around to it, so I am just going to commit and do it now. It is a very short book, so it should be good for a readathon. I believe this is a Korean horror story that has been translated. It is said to be a Korean take on Misery. According to Time magazine, it was the winner of the 2017 Shirley Jackson Award, and I've heard really good things about it. So this is a psychological thriller about loneliness and the dark truths we try to bury. This guy wakes up from a coma after a devastating car accident that took his wife's life, and it left him paralyzed and badly disfigured. His mother-in-law is taking care of him. She is also a widow, and she's grieving the loss of her only child. And then the mother-in-law starts digging a lot of holes in the garden, and you don't really know why, and they keep getting bigger and bigger. And within this book, there's also holes on the pages that get bigger as the book goes on. So I feel like that's a cool creepy element. I don't really know what's going on here, but it sounds cool. I've wanted to read it for a while. I need to get to it. It's short. I feel like it'll be good for a readathon. So this is the book that I have chosen for this prompt. When it comes to recommendations for you for horror books to read, like I said, I have a library of videos of horror book recommendations that I will leave down below in the description, so you can check those out for more long lists of horror books that I really like that I would recommend. The fourth prompt is to read a book with Halloween colors on the cover, and I had a little bit of a hard time figuring this one out. I was considering reading The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson, which I may still read because that one has like oranges and purples and just like screams Halloween vibes on the cover, but I don't know if I'm in the mood to read that book, so I didn't want to commit to it. But a book that I am very much in the mood to read does sort of have Halloween colors on the cover, and that is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is like orange and black. I mean, it's not the most perfect orange, but like it's Halloween-y looking. I think this counts. This is a new thriller book that is from the same author of The Silent Patient, which I notoriously disliked. I really did not like the plot twist in that book. I'm like one of the few people who really did not like that book. However, I was still super excited for The Maidens because I just think this one sounds more up my alley, and everybody loved The Silent Patient. I was more of an anomaly, so I think there's still a chance I might like this book. But I have been hearing not the best reviews, but I think people might have like hyped it up a lot in their heads because they like The Silent Patient so much, but because I didn't like The Silent Patient, I think I have a better chance of enjoying this. So all I really know about this is that it has like a Greek mythology vibe to it. It is an academic story. It's set on a college campus with a professor and a secret society of female students that are known as the Maidens, who are like obsessed with this Greek tragedy professor. And it's said to be a spellbinding tale of psychological suspense, weaving together Greek mythology, murder, and obsession. So that's really all I want to know. I think there's a murder. I think someone dies. I don't know. I don't really want to know a lot. I just want to go into this not knowing much information and just enjoy the ride of a thriller because I am craving a thriller and I just want to enjoy this. I just want to have a good time with it. So for recommendations of books that have Halloween colors on the cover, I have a couple. They're kind of all over the place. First, I would say Layla by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover is traditionally a romance author. She started as an indie romance author before she was traditionally published, and then she started writing some weird stuff. She wrote Verity, which also kind of is Halloween-ish. It's more yellow, I don't know, but that was like a romantic thriller. And then there is Layla, which is like a romantic paranormal book. So you could even fit that in the paranormal prompt. There's like no way to describe this book without ruining something about it, but just know it is about this couple named Leeds and Layla. They meet at this wedding. There's a tragic accident that happens after they start dating, and so then Layla is like emotionally damaged from that, and he wants to help her heal, and so they go back to where that wedding was set. It's like bed and breakfast place, and then spooky things start happening to everybody involved. If you want something truly weird and just like addictive to read, I would highly recommend that one. It is a crazy ride of a book. If you're looking to read more classics, I would recommend The Haunting of Hill House. Some covers are more Halloween colory than not. It is a classic, so there's like a million editions of it, so you could probably find one that's got like this kind of Halloween color scheme to it. If it's not this edition, I'm sure you could find something else pretty similar. But this is like an OG haunted house story from Shirley Jackson. It's like a must read among horror fans. I personally didn't really like it that much. I gave it like a 3-star rating. I thought the show was way better, but if you haven't watched the show, maybe try reading the book first and then go watch the show because the show's really, really good. But if you're just looking to read more of the horror classics, it's kind of, you know, one that you just have to read. And then another one that's sort of Halloween colors is He Started It by Samantha Downing. This is a road trip story about these family members. Their grandpa dies and then he leaves them his inheritance to them, but in order for them to retrieve the inheritance, they have to go on this road trip together that they took as kids with the grandpa. They have to go and do it again to get to the final destination, and everyone's got kind of their own motives, and it's not as much of a happy family trip as it sounds like it's going to be. It is more of a slow burn thriller, but I found it really rewarding and I really enjoyed it. And then the last prompt is to make or bake a treat or drink to go along with your spooky reads. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do for this activity yet. I'm really excited for it because I am going to be vlogging for Summerween, and so I think this is going to be very fun to include in a vlog. I think this was a very creative challenge. I'm very glad they incorporated something like this that's like an activity to do with the readathon. So I'm very excited for it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I might do both a drink and a treat. I don't know. I have to do some Pinteresting to find some things. So stay tuned for my reading vlogs to see what I end up making for that challenge. But that is it for my reading plans, my reading recommendations. I have a couple other books on my radar. So I have A House at the Bottom of a Lake by Josh Malerman, Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. Both of these are really short, so I think they'd be good for a readathon. This new release, Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams, is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I really want to get to this one. And then another new book that I have that I'm excited for is Bathhouse by PJ Vernon. And all of these would be good for the readathon as well. They're all spooky vibes. I definitely won't be able to get to all of these books though, so I have to limit myself a little bit. But I've really just wanted to mood read more recently because I set myself a TBR for June, and then I have not been reading a lot in June. And usually if I set a pretty strict TBR, it makes me read less, plus my life's just been really busy. So I just want to be able to mood read more in July. So I wanted to pull those up as potential options as well for what I will be reading in the readathon in case I change it up a little bit, then you kind of know. But generally, like I said, I'm just so excited for Summerween. I'm so excited for October in general. I just want it to be October already, so I'm excited that we get to celebrate that now, and I cannot wait to be reading all these spooky books very, very soon. Like I said, I will be vlogging for Summerween. I will probably do 2 videos like I did last year, where I do a part 1 for the first couple days and a part 2 for the last couple days, so you can look out for those. And let me know down in the comments below, are you participating in Summerween? What is it that you're going to be reading? Are you going to be vlogging it? Let me know so I can look out for your vlogs too, and we can chat about the books that we're reading. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!